We did. We went off to the street market and had breakfast there instead of at our hotel because we thought, why eat a bad Western buffet when we could go out and eat awesome things? So, the weird and wonderful thing about writing is that at the point where you start writing something and that becomes the entire focus of your energy, weird, wonderful, and magical coincidences are going to begin happening. And they always do seem to happen more when you are... You okay? Okay. They always seem to happen more when you're on the right track. But they just glorious things happen. Right now I'm doing a non-fiction book. I'm working on this big book about China and the journey to the West. And had this little several things would happen which were pretty much magical in the way that they happened. Getting a text message from somebody suddenly saying that if we phone some guy and mention their name, we have a chance to talk to the fourth most holy Buddhist priest in China, who is incredibly busy and never talks to anybody and doesn't give interviews and stuff. And we make a phone call, and that afternoon, 3 hours later, we're meeting him, and I'm getting to interview him. And afterwards, I discover how impossible that was. It shouldn't have happened, and he doesn't give interviews, and he's normally people have to wait 8 months to talk to him if they get to talk, and we just sort of made a couple of phone calls and we're showing up with a fruit basket. So the amount of wonderful, peculiar coincidences that occur right now with this monkey book are great, and they will go back into the book. But I like to think it's just because at the point where you start focusing on anything, any giant, big artistic project, it will start creeping out of the book and off the pages and start turning up in your life.
Does it frighten you sometimes?
No.
No? Okay, so do you see this as the universe's way of telling you that you're on the right track, keep going at it? So do you see it as a form of affirmation in some way?
I think that human beings are pattern-making creatures. I think we create patterns, and I think we find patterns. And I think the way that the universe is designed, and our relationship, the way that we perceive the universe is designed, is that the universe will reinforce what we believe. The universe gives us what we want because we are things that see patterns, and it's an incredibly huge place out there. So the fact that strange, wonderful, 1,000,000-to-1 coincidences start happening when you have your attention on something, for me, of course it works like that. 1,000,000-to-1 coincidences happen all the time. Think how many million people there are in the world. Any given moment of the day, somebody's looking around going, oh my God, that was 1,000,000-to-1. How did that happen? And you're going, well, actually, sort of 4 billion people out there. It's going to be happening, hundreds of times a minute. 1,000,000-to-1 things are going to happen. So I would love to think that the universe is actually going, Neil, you need help with your book, and we're going to give you this thing. But really, I just think that if you throw your head back and set off like monkey for an impossible destination, you will wind up seeing magical things on the way.
Thank you.
What attracted you to this project?
What attracted me to this project? Initially just going to China. I went to China 2 years ago, and having been to Eastern Europe shortly after and shortly before the fall of communism in Eastern Europe, I expected something very grey, very repressed, a world in which people did not have things, a very ugly... I just remember the expressions on people's faces in Eastern Germany as under communist regime. I remember what it was like going to Poland shortly after the fall of communism, and it was horrible. These were places you would not want to go. And then I went out to China, and it was nothing like I expected. And everything that I had expected was wrong. And that fascinated me. The fact that at one point somebody casually mentioned to me that I had to understand that even during the height of monstrous, evil communism, at the point where St. Petersburg in Russia had 4 restaurants that you could only get into if you were the party elite. They had 33,000 restaurants in Chengdu. And you're suddenly going, okay, that's sort of strange. And then this wonderfully weird thing where you're going, this is not the Chinese government, it's not communist anymore, it's about remaining in power, and it's about, and it's not even capitalist. It's yes, everybody should make money. Let's go and generate money again. But it's that point where you start going, it's imperial. It's just another dynasty. How absolutely fascinating. The shape of things, it's consistent for 5,000 years, and rather than, Maoism and communism being an entire break with now we're in the future, it's just part of this same fascinating pattern. And that combined with the fact that every conversation I would have with people about China and literature and what I knew of China would always at some point hit the journey to the West, and always hit monkey. And the fact that I had this peculiar personal relationship with monkey, and a peculiar, talking about strange coincidences, as we were earlier on. The only book in my life that I have ever really missed and never been given was a gift from my father, which he bought me before I was born. And he told me about this incredibly beautiful hardback illustrated edition of Monkey that he found in England and bought for me, his son-to-be or his child-to-be, and did not give to me because I was a tiny boy, and kept safe. And at the point where he went looking for it, 7 or 8 years later, he was never able to find it. And so, which immediately fascinated me. From the age of 7 or 8, I imagined Monkey as being this glorious, magical book with everything in it. So the first time I actually found a copy, I went and read it and was always fascinated by the story. So I set off last year on doing my own journey to the West, starting in Shanghai, going up to the Mountain of Fruits and Flowers, going to Wu Cheng'en's birthplace, going to Shenzan's birthplace, following the route of the real-life Shenzan, what he did in the 7th century, defying imperial edicts, and going off on his own to the West, but also following the trail of Monkey. At one point last year, I found myself outside a closed-down an amusement park, a monkey amusement park inside a giant warehouse that had closed down 5 years earlier, but nobody had the money or wanted or the interest to empty it out. So I bribed the night watchman, and he showed me in with a little flashlight, going through a closed monkey theme park, amusement park walk with animatronic things that were meant to do things, but none of them did. They were all frozen. Yeah. And it got stranger and stranger, and we're walking through the dark, and now walking through the scary bit, and it wound up in Buddhist hell. And I actually understood exactly why this place had closed down and why no little child walked through the monkey amusement park had ever turned to their parents and said, let's go back again. Let's do that again. Oh my God, I can't wait to get to monkey amusement park. Because the last thing is just people who had given false weight being ripped apart and crushed, and adulteresses with their legs being, and people in boiling oil, and you're going, yeah, great, and it's from here into the gift shop and out again, and nobody's ever going to come back. Right. So.